Let's say you have a friend who's a giant YouTuber with 500,000 subscribers. You met her when she was not that big and you watched her exit orbit. Now let's say that you're also a much smaller, humbler YouTuber who specializes in writing fantasy. One day, your big YouTuber friend calls you and says, "Hey, I'm thinking about writing this book, inspired by my beloved short video series. But I'm kind of improvising here. I don't know much about this world. Could you help me out?" You know that's an unusual scenario. You know there are thousands of eyeballs ready to devour that book, even if it doesn't even exist yet. This here is not what you see on YouTube. This content is not trying to be general. It's not trying to be broad. This is a deep dive into a one-on-one process, and you're watching it as it happens. Through me and Jill, you will see an idea become a finished piece of art. This is the third installment. You don't have to watch them in order. It's Jill. And today we're going to talk about first drafts. What do you do when you have a story in your hands? Let's see what Jill brought me today. Hello, friend. Last time we spoke, my tip was for you to create a timeline of your story so you could better understand how to move forward and also how your characters grow over time. The scene-by-scene progression, but also the emotional progression. So, where are we?
First thing, I got your post-its and I made myself a board with the approximately 30 days that the novel spans. In Rosamund's world. The post-its have been very helpful, both because it made me write down what the characters are meant to be like at the beginning and what they're meant to be like at the end, which is a helpful thing to keep in mind when I'm writing how they interact with each other. So that's great.
Lovely, yeah. Gardener writers like me and you who just go and explore the dense fog of story without really knowing where we're going, we need tools like that later in the process. It's okay to be a little chaotic and to allow yourself to write whatever idea takes hold of your imagination, as long as you make sense of it all when you edit. I'm glad to hear this is helping.
The second thing is that I put my draft up for my patrons and channel members, and I got lots of feedback, which was really helpful, which has meant that we're now up from 55,000 words to 63,000 words, but I have rewritten a very large number of words at this point.
I gotta say, what you're doing is unusual and interesting. Getting your first draft that's supposed to be this pathetic creature that can barely walk or even breathe and just give it to a bunch of people to read it? You are girl bossing too hard, Jill. The sheer audacity of what you're doing. And the rewriting, yeah, that's just the way it is. Oh, mighty internet overlords, beware of the storm of false expectation. This is something I wish somebody had told me, somebody had shouted at me years ago. When it comes to novels, most of the writing is actually rewriting. Most of it. This is what you do most in this process. Not half of it, way more than half. I had this naive impression that once I finished my first draft and it had something like 220 pages, I could keep maybe 100, maybe 120, if I was lucky 150 of those pages. I didn't keep 3 of those pages, and after I rewrite and rewrite and rewrite, I probably will keep nothing of that. If you're not ready to write your book, the same book, multiple times, then maybe long form writing is not for you. I wish somebody had told me. Alas, I am obsessive enough, and this is exactly what Jill is finding out as well. Just the fact that you're saying the feedback is useful and not crushing, it's quite amazing, girl. Now, what's the next step? Let's make the world spin.
I think that my brain is refusing to give me any more details about Caroline because I can't see the Rosamund arc clearly enough yet. Once I see what Rosamund is doing at each stage of the game, then Caroline can be doing something which is thematically similar. But until I've actually finished writing Rosamund and Leo's story, my brain is like, no, you can't have Caroline. I don't know what Caroline's doing. Henry? No, not a clue. Never heard of him. He just makes snarky or slightly flirtatious or just kind of nitpicky comments every now and again. I don't have anything in particular to update you with, except that there are more words and some of the other words have been changed to hopefully be better words. Not sure how helpful this is for like a video. I don't have anything to ask for specifically.
Are you sure, Jill? Are you really sure? Because just a couple of days after you sent me that message, you sent me this other message here.
Okay, perhaps I was pessimistic. Perhaps I was too pessimistic, because it is now 2 days after I sent you the previous video, and at 62,484 words, I think I'm not done, but as a first draft, I think I'm pretty much done. It's a story with a beginning and a middle and an end, and there are definitely things missing from it, but I no longer know what those are, if you see what I mean. So that's progress. Huzzah!
Are you kidding me? Huzzah! Yes! That was a little bit underwhelming. The thingies didn't fall. Anyway, you finished a draft. That's amazing! Dear internet overlords, the lesson here is that celebrating your milestones is crucial. It gives you this super valuable emotional boost that will help you continue this really difficult process, okay? Great job! Fantastic! So with that new information at hand, how can I help you?
I think my question at this point is now, if I have a first draft, now what do I do with that? Now what? What is the next step in this process? I assume it's beta reading, but yeah, we should talk about that, because
indeed, it's a pretty situation. But let's untangle it, okay? Here's a very clear path you can follow. You're right about beta reading, and it feels to me that when it comes to the writing itself, that is the obvious next step. Oh, honorable internet overlords, if you've never heard of beta reading, it's basically a process where some readers will be invited to read your draft critically. This criticism is not whatever goes, there's generally a method around it that will vary from writer to writer. But one way or another, it's a really emotional moment when you ask people to test your fetus of a book. There are many ways to do this and no certified best way. But as we share a lot of writing characteristics, my process was very similar to yours. I'm gonna share with you how I did it, and I feel it really worked for me. This is one of the things I did in my life that most helped me grow as an artist. This is my personal take on the method described in Stephen King's On Writing. And just so you know, there's a lot of people who criticize that method, and fair enough, but it did work for me. The first thing that you do is to select 3 to 5 people who care about you deeply, who can be really honest with you, and hopefully who would enjoy reading a book like the one you're writing. Those are the people you're gonna invite to be your beta readers, but that also means conveying to them how important that is. You have to send that message your way, and everybody's way will be unique. This is how I did it, and it might help you think about it. And hey, you know me. In my personal life, I am quite emotional. I am quite dramatic. So I used this drama as one of my tools to convey importance. I also used some graphic design in the invitation itself, just so people knew I'd spend some time doing it and thinking about it. You don't have to do exactly those things. You do you. But let me show you the beginning of my guidance file. Let's start with some drama, shall we? Almost. In Stephen King's words, treat this manuscript as you treat the draft of a speech I was going to give at the UN. If it's crap and you don't tell me, you're doing our friendship a disservice. I have poured my heart and my soul into this work, and I'm profoundly grateful you're giving it a go. Writing this book has changed something inside of me, a part of my personality. Thank you for being one of the first people to read this new piece of me. Here's my ask. I'm too involved in this work to judge it properly. I need your fresh eyes to see what I can no longer. The verb here is to notice. Please don't be afraid to tell me things are bad or even abysmal. If you don't, nobody will. Oh, I like some drama, don't I? The other pages go a bit more in depth about the method, but the important thing to know is you might be a bit too immersed to know what's good and what's bad. You don't know if a scene is boring anymore because that scene is an entire universe inside of you once you've rewritten it 10 times. Your beta readers, on the other hand, don't have all of that baggage. They can tell you, this is hilarious, this is boring, this made me cry, I didn't understand that. They're there to notice, to point out issues. They don't get to fix the issues, they just point them out. Maybe you even tell them not to suggest anything. You fix the issues. And for each of them, there are infinite narrative solutions. It's your vision, your book. But knowing what needs and what doesn't need fixing is invaluable. Most beloved internet overlords, you caught but a glimpse of this file and this method. If you're interested, I left a link to the PDF in the description of this video. I can't guarantee it's gonna work for you. All I can say is that it worked for me. And here's some extra dark, secret knowledge. The thing that helped me the most during my first round of beta reading was a particular style of beta reader. Meet Sara Hung, a really good friend of mine who's also a brutal giver of feedback. She might look harmless, but this woman disemboweled my book and danced with its entrails. Love you, Sara. I'm joking, but it's also kind of true. Sara told me things that the other beta readers didn't have the courage to tell me. Things like, why is he saying this thing? This is making me feel nothing, and I think I should be feeling something. Which hurt, but came from a place of love and respect. She really read that memo I sent. She took this beta reading very seriously, in her own brutal way. And because I could deal with that harsh criticism, because I knew where it was coming from, it was incredibly useful. And I joke about Sara's style all the time, but she's one of the people I most thanked in my life. And she's right, she was supposed to be feeling something in that dialogue. So let's fix it. Now I know what the problem is, now let's have a look at it. So if you can have at least one vicious feedback giver, that might come in handy. Inexorable internet overlords. Maybe you've been following this process with me and Jill and finding out that it doesn't really work for you. It's too loose. You like structure, you like planning ahead. The way me and Jill write is too wee. If so, Sara is the absolute opposite writer from us. She has character development spreadsheets that make me tremble in despair. She has an amazing blog, and if you like the way I delve deep into some writing subjects here on the channel, I'm sure you're gonna love her stuff. The link will be in the description below. I'm super proud of you. You wrote this draft so fast. It was incredible. It was inspiring, really. And you're already captivating a lot of people with your writing, myself included. Let me know how the beta reading goes. I can't wait to pre-order your book.
Thanks, Dorian.
You're welcome, Jill. Bye. Bye.